Welcome back to another episode of Playin Pussy with Matt and Nick. My name is Nicholas Paglia. This is one of my favorite people in the world, Matt Amos. Welcome to PZY. What's up, Matt?
I was just thinking, I'm basically turning into a woman that has a punch card at the abortion clinic.
Yeah.
Because I'm just obsessed with candles and incense now.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're just like, well, getting all spiritual. Yeah, the other day, I think it came in and smelled like something burning like sage. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I bought a pair of tarot cards too.
oh, you're okay. Yeah, we got to address this. Tarot cards? Can you give me a tarot reading? Can we do one on the show or?
Sure, I could try to figure it out. But I was thinking about, I wanted to get a pair of tarot cards and figure out the process of how people do it, because I want to write a short story or maybe a novel about it.
Okay.
Using that kind of stuff.
Oh, awesome.
Maybe have it be about a tarot card reader or something like that.
Okay, see that?
But yeah.
See that?
I'm a girl with too much armpit hair now.
Yeah.
Getting into all this hippie shit. It's because of the Curia Arcanum. I think we talked about it on the last episode, but this is a painting I bought from that occult shop down the street that I was saying I'm really digging.
Yeah, it's a nice painting.
I talked about it last time, right?
You talked about the shop and how you were getting into like the incense, and we had the incense burning and stuff, and I think the paintings are new. We missed a week
Right.
last week because
we do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I guess we could do it every 2 weeks. I wouldn't mind. That wouldn't be bad. I guess we'll see.
Either way, it's fine. Nick does all the editing, so whatever you want to do with the workload, I mean, thank you for that.
Yeah, no, of course. You know, but we were a little inconsistent, which is an attribute of Playin Pussy, and you know, we got to stick to our guns and stay consistent with our routine and what we're gonna do, and you know, because consistency is key.
That's right.
It's key. So what's new, Matt? What's the update? First of all, we got some updates on your car situation. What's happening with that, you said?
Yeah, so I got the overnight, all the stuff I had to sign over to Progressive and everything, so I should be getting the money soon.
Awesome. Very cool. Get your wheels back and get your freedom back and get you back out there.
Yeah, I'm really interested in what you were talking about with you buy a car online and they just send it to you thing. That sounds awesome.
Well, yeah, they have like Carvana and different.
I wonder,
they're not sponsors of the show, you know.
I'm guessing it probably costs more or something.
I'm
right?
sure there's probably some other costs, you know, no haggles.
Yeah, but I'm going to look into that. I'm not sure what I want to do first. I definitely want to go on a road trip once I get my car. Maybe go back down to the beach or something. Go to Houston.
Oh, yeah. Check it out. Go down to the Dirty South.
But yeah, no, I am. I'm excited to get back into stand-up. I think I kind of went through... You know, a lot of people during the pandemic, it seems like if you're forced not to do stand-up for a while, your mind eventually starts to drift towards retirement. Like even this famous Joe Rogan story where Ron White was telling him, you know, I'm going to retire during the pandemic. Do you remember that? Did you hear that on his podcast? Mm-hmm. And then once he did it again, he was like, oh, I got to keep on doing it forever.
Once he had that, they brought him back to Vulcan, and he had a great time after not being on stage for a while. And
yeah, I kind of feel like I went through the many stages of grief with it, where I got to acceptance and I was just thinking a lot about, man, maybe I should retire, I should do this, I should do that. But I got past that, and lately I'm just thinking, man, that would be fun. That would just be fun to go to an open mic, say a bunch of stupid shit for 3 minutes, make fun of a couple people, and you know, hit the road. So I'm excited to get back into it.
That's awesome, yeah, because I remember the last episode you were talking about how you're in that zone of like not really caring, but that was in the midst of all of this.
Yeah, and I think talking to Derek too, I think just that day at that show, I wasn't really doing anything I wanted to do. I wasn't really talking about stuff I want to talk about. Because especially when I do shows, because I've been writing new material, and some of it hits, some of it doesn't, but for the shows, I like to bring back stuff that works well, you know? So I have some jokes on that I was doing at the show that I think I wrote, 3 years ago. And for me, I guess it just doesn't excite me. I'm like, man, this isn't really what I want to talk about. This isn't really who I am right now. So I think that was the main thing about why I wasn't that excited.
It's always like the catch-22 about doing a show sometime, especially if you haven't done a show for a while and you want to show that you can do it, and so you're like, oh, I remember all this was working, and then when I was passionate about it and I was saying it and it was killing and it was doing well, but then like you said, you haven't had a show in a while, then you get it, and then we go on and you go with what you think is safe, but then you're really not excited about the joke, you're not passionate about what you're talking about, which I get that. That's That's good, but the fact that you're recognizing that means you do care a little still, so.
Yeah. No, I was listening to Andrew Doyle's podcast. He's really funny. Do you know Titania McGrath? He has his fake woke character on Twitter.
I haven't.
He's one of the most famous stand-ups in Britain right now, but he has a show called Free Speech Nation. He was talking to this Irish comedian. I don't remember his name, but just the way the guy was talking about improv, that was kind of exciting me. And I noticed at the show, I thought when I was doing the best was with the improv, and that's never been my strong suit, but I really want to get back into that when I get back on stage.
Oh, nice.
That's fun. And I think when I was younger, I was too afraid and too green to go off script, but I think since I moved here, I've been getting better and better at it. I would definitely don't think I'm good at it yet, but that's something I guess I'm confident enough now to explore more, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when I first started, I just got to stick to the script, you know?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I agree. I've been contemplating about, switching it up and getting away from the act of like the deadpan thing, and that was I recently did a comedy competition, and the judges one of their solid critiques that I agreed with was that I was going back and forth between being like just me on stage, and then like I would like say a couple jokes that were more relatable to like who I am as a person and my actual style and personality, and then I would like do a couple one-liners, and it would kind of just like almost I would revert back into like that character of the dead one pen, and then I'd go back into another story where it was like more chatty, more talkative, and that's what I've been trying to work with. Is just being my most authentic self, which we've talked about that on the first a couple episodes back about being our authentic selves. But
that's something I really want to do too.
Yeah.
That's something I've been meaning to do on stage for, 3 years or so now. And I don't know why it's so hard or why I always automatically go back into, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's from being in plays as a kid. When I was a kid, I was in plays. I auditioned for some movies, and I used to make little movies with my friends all the time too. Make skits, record things, and then I did stuff on YouTube. And I guess I've always kind of performed. So when I'm on, and then being in a band, being the singer in a band. So I think my instinct when I get on stage is I want to perform, I want to make it big, And maybe that's why I always forget to try and make it real. But I think that is, you just see that with all the big comics. It always comes off so real. It sounds so natural. People who are the best, they make it sound like they're just talking,
Exactly.
That's something I definitely want to work on. Want to get back into that.
I think so too. I have a show tonight out in Round Rock, so I think I'm gonna do a little bit of that. Go through and try and be a little more personal and a little more me on stage, and I might still use some of the same jokes, but tweak them to where it's like more conversationally and not so much just an abrasive non sequitur joke after non sequitur or like transition,
That'll be tough with your style though, because your style feels like it's the one-liners, right?
Yeah, it has been, but I mean, I have other stuff that's more than just a one-liner. They're like 1 minute bits, they're short bits, but I mean, go off of them, play off them a little bit, kind of tell the joke, maybe riff a little, continue, see what comes in the moment.
What's your battle plan for making it more personable? Do you have kind of specific points about what are the specific things you want to do to achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, I just expand on the jokes, because like at the most pure form of my jokes, there's zero fat. And I mean, I could add a little fat that would help make it just seem more personal and less abrasive to the audience, So I'm kind of thinking about doing that, talking about talk about like how the changes are going on in me and what's happening, on stage, and just be honest, Try and do that and just try and find the funny, and worst case scenario, I'll bomb,
You've been watching a lot of stand-up though, haven't you? Or at least comedy podcasts?
I mean, I listen to my faves, but I mean, I haven't been like, I wouldn't say I've been studying like that in that aspect, but
what are because I noticed you watching comedy podcasts and stand-up and stuff. What are the ones you watch?
I watch like your Mom's House Studios, like all their podcasts. I like that. I enjoy watching Andrew Schultz and his Flagrant 2 podcast. Watching more of the Rogan podcast a little bit more.
What do you like about those? What do you like about Flagrant and Your Mom's House?
Your Mom's House is great because I like watching the clips. I like the dynamic between Tom and Christina. I like when they have guests because they're also really good interviews and they ask like really nice questions, thought-provoking. But they also have fun and joke around. Like they don't really. It seems like they don't really give a fuck. They just go and have a good time. And then Two Bears One Cave, Bert and Tom, they talk. They're just two friends talking back and forth, having a good time. You know, so they don't see each other as much or when they do see each other, they get together and they catch up and talk and goof off and ask weird questions. And the Rogan's always fun when he has good comedians on there. I'm not like a diehard where I watch every episode, but when there's comics on there that I like, I'll watch it and just hear about their stories and what's going on.
Oh, it's so much content. I don't even know how long. It would probably take you years and years if you wanted to start at number one and watch all of it, with some episodes being 4 hours long. It's
absolutely
insane.
I couldn't imagine. And then on top of that, it's continually going. So it's like, how would you ever even how would you ever catch up, you know?
Yeah, it's insane that they have these YouTube shows like Friday Night Tights or something that's a 5-hour show a couple times a week, or or insane. Even a Let's Play. You know, to watch one of those, it could take you 35 hours. It's crazy how much stuff there is out there.
Absolutely.
Because lately I've been falling down a couple different rabbit holes with metal and anime and different things, and I look at all these lists. I just think, man, how you'll never run out of shit. There's all these classic animes, all these classic metal albums, you know, starting from the 60s and 70s that I'll probably never have a chance to experience every single one, you know, which is really cool. It's cool that there's so much good stuff out there.
Just keep going. It keeps going and keeps going. And people just, I don't remember where I heard this. This could be completely false. We don't have a fact checker here, but I heard that there's like 3 times the amount of, or the amount of content uploaded on YouTube video is 3 times more, or 3 times more in length than the time the Earth has been around.
Wow.
It's just because everybody just upload as much as they want. You know?
That is insane.
And I can't say for sure if that's true or not, but that's what I heard, and it doesn't sound like it'd be far off. You know.
The other thing too is when something is classic, because there's movies I've probably seen 100 times and it was a different experience every time because the movie's just so deep and well made, and you change as you get older and it's different to experience again when you're a different person now, especially with old metal albums, because there's metal albums I listened to when I was in high school and I listen to them now and I don't even remember them, but I've listened to it 100 times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But now I know a lot more about music. I've heard a lot more music, so you just notice all different things. That's what's wild, because you could just experience new stuff forever, but also you change. So when you go back to something old, it's like seeing it for the first time.
Absolutely, and your perspective on it may be completely different. You know, I tried listening to a couple old punk albums that I used to
for example,
like was trying to go back and listen to like the Casualties, you know, and listening to it now, I'm like, how the hell did my parents put up with me blaring this in my room, you know?
Did you still like it, or was it not for you anymore?
I don't think it was for me anymore, personally with the Casualties. But like going back with like listening to the Misfits, you know, I still enjoy them.
Oh, yeah.
They're still good, but I don't enjoy them to the level that I enjoyed them then. I'm just like, it's more of a nostalgia appreciation.
That's something I was thinking about. Well, I've been playing a lot of guitar and I want to make an album. But what I was thinking is there's some stuff, I don't really like listening to it that much. It's not my favorite. Like the blues, for example. Mm-hmm. I don't really get a ton out of listening to the blues. It's not really my style, but it's the most fun to play. When you pick up the guitar, it just feels like that's what your hand wants to do.
Okay, I can see that.
So, for example, I like Led Zeppelin. I respect them. They're the shit. They're awesome. But I don't really ever feel like listening to them.
Same.
Playing their songs is so fun.
Oh, okay.
And then a band like the Misfits, I love the Misfits. I like the Misfits so much more, but playing their music is boring as fuck.
Yeah, because it's all just basic punk, 3 chords. Like,
yeah.
It's like trying to it's like playing a Green Day song. You're like, this is just 3 chords. Like, you know, it's this 3 chords, and then the next song is this 3 chords, but down a little lower, you know, or something. It's the same. I totally see that. I'm like, speaking of that, like nostalgia. I watched Young Guns on.
Yeah, I saw that. You know what's funny is I was watching. What was I watching? I was watching. In the new season of Cobra Kai, they talk about Young Guns.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, but I hadn't seen it probably since I was 13, and it was like a movie my stepdad would have on all the time, or if it was on, we would watch it.
How did it hold up?
parts of it were good, and then other parts are just, it's 1988, so it's like very cut and dry, like going from, you're just setting up plot points, and there's like lots of plot holes, but then they're like, just everything moves so fast to get the story across. There's no real deep character development. It's like, oh, this is, you know, Lou Diamond Phillips' character. He's half Mexican, half Indian, and he's just like, and then all of a sudden, like, he finds this peyote, and then he comes out, and he's bringing his Indian heritage into the group and how everyone's doing peyote, which I thought that was like the funniest scene, like as an adult now, which was great. But then then you see like the guys getting blown away in that movie, and the acting is just
the death
awful.
scenes.
The death scenes where they're like, they get shot in the head, and they're still like walking around, like, and then they fall like 20 seconds
Especially
later.
in the 80s and 90s too, when you're watching a more low-rent action movie, just the way they would shoot that kind of stuff was so corny.
Yeah, but also some of the shots were really cool, and then you really appreciate the production value that they did put into movies back then without
At least it was all
CGI.
practical.
It was all practical effects, exactly.
Well, I'm a total simp for nostalgia.
Yeah.
I could watch anything from the 80s and 90s, no matter how shitty it is. I'll have a great time because I'm just happy
too.
just feeling that, enjoying the old video quality and the way people used to talk, the way people used to dress. Like, no matter how shitty the movie is, I'll still enjoy just noticing all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was some blatant racism in that movie for sure.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like the main villain, he owns this little Asian lady named Sun Yin, but like when she, like at the scene where she runs away from him to run into the house to meet up with Kiefer Sutherland's character, like right before the big shootout, they're just like the villain of the movie, he's just like, China, come back, China, come back. And it's like, her name is Sun Yin, but you're just calling her China because she's Asian.
I'm sure it's accurate as the way things were in the West.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it would have been accurate. I guess it could have been. I mean, they weren't really calling them Chinamen, but you know, excuse my French, but.
Oh no, that's great, man. I wish people would call me China.
Yeah, but you're Japanese.
Yeah, but nobody can tell. I mean, nobody knows. That's the main thing I used to always get, or even get now, is people don't. They think it's all the same, you know?
Yeah, ignorance.
But it's just funny to me. I mean, all that stuff is funny to me. I don't understand. I don't know if I've ever said it on the show, but I've been called, racial slurs for 7 different races. But it never... I don't understand why it's supposed to be such this horrific, traumatic, terrible thing. To me, it's just, okay, this person's dumb. I don't like them. That's it. They said something bad. I didn't. So what do I have to feel bad about?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand. To me, I'd way rather be called a gook or a chink instead of being called fat. Because there's nothing wrong with being Asian.
Yeah, nothing wrong at all.
But being fat.
It's disgusting.
Exactly.
It's disgusting. Yeah, I just posted a clip on YouTube about from the show we did in Dallas, where I was talking to Naheem, the black gentleman in the crowd, and the crowd work I was doing, or basically just point out the fact that his name starts with an N and my name starts with an N. They're both N-words, and he laughed at the joke. He said facts. Everything went smooth. I posted the comment, and I posted the clip. And it's
as people tripping about it.
Just this one lady by the name of Olivia Hart, some dumb cunt. It's probably some SJW, and she's like, not funny, da 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 da. But then like other people are going back with her and telling her like, shut the fuck up. Like it's so I'm like, this is funny, and I was like,
oh no, that's great, man.
It's just like, you're probably just some little white girl like just being triggered, and there was nothing racist about the bit that I put out. It was just I thought it was very intelligently brought together with
yeah, it's weird that now I feel that today there's all these different instances where people feel like they're mind readers. I don't know if everyone feels like they're smart because we have the internet or we have phones, but even the concept of a dog whistle, you know what that is, right?
Like an actual dog whistle? Or
a dog whistle is what they call it, and basically it's when someone says something but it actually means it's basically a secret code for them to talk to other. It's usually referred to for racists. So let's say I go on Fox News and I start talking about pride that I have, for example. Mm-hmm. If I say I'm proud of my people or something like that, people say that's a dog whistle. He's just trying to shout out to other racists. But basically, what I hate about the term dog whistle is it's basically you saying, I know what your intentions are. I know what's inside of your head. You say this thing, and I know what you actually mean.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So everyone thinks they're a mind reader now, that they know what everyone's actual intentions are. Same thing with jokes. You know, people always say, well, I know when you say that kind of joke, it's because you're a racist and you're just trying to sneak your racist stuff in.
Yeah.
It's so disrespectful for people to just believe that they can read your mind, know what's in your head, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, because Naeem actually came up and introduced himself to me after the show. And was like, good set, man, like, da-da, and like shook my hand and everything. And he was having a good time, and it wasn't anything about it. I was just pointing out the obvious, that both of our names start with the letter N. And then this lady online is going crazy. It's going off, like leaving comment after comment on my thing. And I'm like, that's cool. You're just adding to the algorithm, because that video's got like, it's getting some views, you know?
Oh, no, that's amazing, man. That's what, anytime someone hates me or I get any hate, I mean, you already won. Because if this person hates me, first of all, they'll never hate me as much as I hate them.
Yeah.
But second of all, the fact that you're living rent-free in their head and they're mad at you, you're hurting them.
Yeah. They're upset.
So you're mad at me, and I've just hurt you. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's the same thing about the racial slurs thing I was saying. Is if someone says that to you and you get angry, you get hurt. I mean, they won.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. Plus, I checked with all my black friends and made sure that that was a cool clip before I even posted it. I checked with all 2 of them. You know. Just kidding, of course, but it was fun. Like, it was a good clip. It was a fun show. We had a blast.
But you have some more shows since then, right?
I've had just the contest since then.
Okay, so let's go through that. How'd that go?
Contest was fun. There was a lot of good comics. Everyone, it was
the Creek in the Cave contest,
Creek
right?
in the Cave contest.
Because there's 2 different Austin contests going on right now.
There are, yeah. There's funniest person in the funniest person contest that's happening at Cap City, which I did not sign up for. You had to pay like $25 and sign up, and I just never got around to it. And then this one was free, and I did it, and it was a good time. And they were critiquing not only your stand-up, your jokes, your writing, but they were critiquing your look, your performance, everything. They did not like my red hat, my red beanie. I was wearing a hat similar to this, but just a red beanie, and they're like, you look like a surly sailor and you're telling cat jokes. I don't really get it, you know. Like, and I was like, I think that's just kind of like hater shit. Like, this is just how I'm dressed. But
no, you got balls though, man. I respect that, going up in front of the judges and stuff. That shit sucks.
Yeah, but other than that, I mean, that was the only comment that I felt was like, was like that shouldn't, how I look. Like, I mean, I get the presentation on stage kind of thing, but they had some really good critiques about me being like kind of going back and forth between like authentic Nick and, you know, the like almost like a character, which is good, which I want to like, which I've been.
What were they saying about it?
They were just saying it's kind of weird, you know, like you're going through, you're seeming real comfortable, you're talking about this, and then you kind of go into like this deadpan mode, and it's like if you're gonna do deadpan, you really kind of need to commit to that character in a sense. And it's like, I don't know, I've been doing comedy about 8 years now, 8-9 years, and they say you don't really find your voice until like after 10, and I think that's what I'm struggling with internally, is I'd like to find my voice and just be like more of me instead of just being this like thing, you know. Yeah. Like this.
On the one hand, I could see their critique.
Yeah, I agree with their critique, because I have been. That's what we've been talking.
I could see it on the one hand, but then sometimes I feel like I do it and it really works. Yeah. But I don't know if it's different, because some of my jokes I'm a character, or I'm pretending to have this emotion.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the joke, I reveal that, hey, I'm just joking. I don't really feel that way. And it seems to work, you know?
Yeah.
Like you said, the thing where I give away the wrong star, or the end of Love is Disgusting. It's just, it's kind of me revealing, oh, that's just a joke. That's just me acting.
Yeah.
And that seems to work, you know? Why do you think, what's the difference?
I think it's just the contrast between the 2 styles, like going from like talking, having a good time, and making it like the longer bits seem like I'm having a conversation with the audience. I'm telling them about me, and then all of a sudden then it goes right to a joke that has nothing to do with me as a person, you know. So I think that's might be where, and I just think the contrast of like talking how we're talking right now, being on stage, and then going into like one liner, one-liner, and then going back into like, oh, like
Yeah.
switching it up. So it's like,
I think one thing you could probably do is start with the deadpan character for as many jokes as you want, a few jokes, and then you could stop and say, oh, that's how I used to tell jokes, and then go into the new style. That could be a way to transition it.
Exactly. I was thinking of doing I was thinking similar along those ideas, or just talk about like how I used to be, how, you know, I could talk about like how I used to just tell nothing but terrible bad jokes, and like, for example, here's some of them, or, you know, go into it and then be like, you know, but you know, I'm growing as a person, and I want to be myself, and, you know, I want people to like me for me, and not try and be like this character that thinks he's better than everybody else, because deep down inside I don't think I'm better than like anybody else as a person, you know. As a comic, better than a bunch of people, but
Well, what else though? Who else was there? How was the show set up and everything? Was it pretty crowded?
20 comics. Everyone did 4 minutes. They had some absolute beasts on there. Mitch Burrow, shout out to him. He got a perfect score. 3 10s, and he just crashed. Like he had this great joke about accents that just hit hard right out the gate, and then he had this joke about like different types of pussy, and it was just amazing. Then you had like some other people go up and do some stuff and just get ripped apart, worse than me, you know. I mean, my actual set, like my jokes hit like laughs per minute. If I was there, like I had laughs per minute solid, like everything hit, nothing really fell flat. But it was like, and after that I was like, I felt pretty good after, but then they started like judging and critiquing the other aspects of the contest that I didn't really take into consideration. Another thing I should have done is I should have sat in and watched a few more comics like go up before I did, to see how they were critiquing them, because that could have played into me going in and changing something about what I did to help benefit me. But I was also kind of just in my head getting ready for like picking the jokes I want to do. I was like trying to go through and be like, all right, it's gonna be this joke, then this joke, then this joke, then this joke, then this joke. And, you know, just because I have a recall problem sometimes, and I mean, it's only 4 minutes, but I had like a list of jokes, and I was like, if I can get through as many of these in the order that I want, if I get cut off before I finish, I get the light, then I know I'd just go right to my closer, you know. And it all went pretty darn well. Like, actually, I was happy with my set, like when I performed, up until the critique, and then it was like they had the one really good critique about, you know, the differences between how I was presenting myself in the moment, and then everything else just kind of seemed like an attack on my outfit. And I mean, I was wearing a blue button-up shirt, some khakis, some Converse, and I just had a beanie on. Casey Rocket described it the best. He took a picture of me and tagged me in it, and then put me next to a picture of Bill Murray from Life Aquatic, and he was like Steve Zissou. And I mean, when I saw the picture, I was like, damn, I really did look like I was dressed like Steve Zissou's son, you know, like. But it was a good time, and even Casey sent me a message. You know, he was like, dude, your set was great. You killed. I don't know why they were kind of mean to you like that, you know, but it was good. I believe it was. I know Dalen passed, which was great because he's a friend of mine. Patrick Kapari passed. Mumford Davis passed to the next round. Mitch Burrow, Dave J, and I believe one other person. I can't remember who at the moment. But it was a fun time, a good experience. I'm not salty about it at all. Like I said, it gave me good stuff to think about. It made me think about different avenues to take and how I can do stuff. And so I hope to implement some of that tonight and get it going and make it work and just see. And I got a show on Sunday as well at Vulcan, and continue to go on it. And because even on my last set that I did at Vulcan, the one that I recorded and put on YouTube, I went back and watched that again, and I could see where I was doing the same thing. Some of the stuff I'm coming out, I'm talking, and it sounds real personal. It sounds like I'm just talking to people, and they're coming off well. The timing's all there, and then I go into a couple the random one-liners that are just like kind of throw them off. You know, I used to like think it was okay to do that to like break up the talking, but I mean, it's all going to be it's all trial and error, you know, just like how it's been since day one. You get on stage, you try something, if it works, and you continue to work on that. But I also want to grow as a person and a comic, and I feel like that would be a better scenario. I think it'd be better to start talking about like who I am and what I've gone through to some degree, like not like talk about my troubles or anything, but maybe talk about like how the fact that I used to be a little spoiled fucking brat, you know, with a family business.
Oh, I mean, you have a real interesting life. All the conversations we've had about just the way you were raised, and all that stuff, and you've been to so many crazy raves and parties and stuff. I mean, you got a ton of shit to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I need to just tap into that and start actually addressing that.
And Fresno too is just a place no one knows anything about.
Yeah.
So anytime you talk about that, that would be interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm not as super interested when someone's on stage talking about, what it's like to be from Boston or New York or LA, but when it's a different place, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, I think so too, because I mean, Fresno is kind of like a melting pot of the California, because you have the liberals, you have the conservatives, you have all different types of races. I think the last census came out, said there were like close to like 200 different ethnicities, like all living and coinciding, like all within that one county,
Speaking about the real stuff, when we had the pandemic in Idaho, I don't remember how long it took, but it was a long time, maybe 9 months, 10 months till we got to have our first open mic back. And I was nervous. I thought I was going to do horrible. And I had been writing some stuff here and there, but I don't know, none of it felt that funny to me. But for some reason, that show hadn't been on stage in 10 months or so, and I went up. It was the most real I've ever been, and I think it was one of the best sets I ever had. So I've been trying to get back to, what did I do that night? Because even when I look back at the jokes, they don't seem that funny. But for some reason, it really connected with that crowd that day. And every time I've tried to bring one back, I feel like the crowds here really don't understand what I'm talking about. Well, I felt like for some reason, the people in Boise, I just felt like they understood me a little better.
Possibly.
Because, for example, one thing I was talking about with those jokes is just how when I was young, I was always just, it's such openness to new experience that I always wanted everything to be new and to be different. Anything that was weird, that was good to me, So the weirdest movies, the weirdest music, and just talking about that, how that affected me. I feel like when I start talking about things like that, the people here just eyes glaze over, no interest in it.
Maybe, who knows? Also, there could have just been the time, like at the time and circumstances, because everyone was happy to be out. Everyone had just been locked up, so everyone wants to be out, have a good time, and you're talking about more real stuff that was probably connected more to what everyone was feeling on the inside throughout those last 10 months.
That's the interesting thing with jokes is they work perfect when it's at the perfect time. It's all timing. But something that I have all kinds of jokes from Fresno or from Idaho that used to destroy, that are just nothing to now. People don't care about them at all. It's weird. Yeah. The way that works.
It is interesting.
We used to have a weekly competition in Idaho, and I was the judge for a lot of those.
Oh, okay.
That was fun, but it's also, that's a real powder keg, because all the politics between comics and all the egos and people wanting. A lot of comedians are people who aren't really good at anything, and they don't have any power in their lives at all. So once they get a little bit, they go out of control. Yeah, people who've been bullied, who've been stepped on, who've never really, been a boss or anything like that. So once they have a little bit of power, they're going to go insane. Yeah. So a lot of my judging was just telling the comics on stage, hey, don't listen to him. It was fine. Yeah,
that's funny. You're like the mom, like, you did great, sweetie. You did great. Yeah, I mean, that's how it feels going up, doing a contest anytime, like the people judging you, like regardless if they're friends or them or whatever your dynamic is with them. Like if they say something that they think is right or their opinion and it doesn't mesh with you, you're going to feel some kind of salty way about it in some regards or not. If you didn't get the perfect score, of course you're going to have some, and if you believe that it was good, you're going to have some kind of thoughts about it, but you have to be able to take a step back and be like, look, they're judging not only you, they're judging everybody, and they're giving everybody critiques on everything that they need to work on or what they feel it's work on. And the judges that were out there, they had good credit to be out there judging you. They've been doing it a long time, so I've been around comedy a long time, seen a lot of comedy. One of them was the owner of the club. One of them was Another one was a showrunner and a veteran comedian, and the other one was a room runner and also a veteran comedian as well. So it's like they're just talking about, they're judging based off of their experience of what they've seen and what they've been good at, and that's, everything's up to their perception. But as a whole, I mean, I got 3 6s. It was cool. It was a good number, 666. Yeah, I'm cool with it.
For me, the few competitions I've done, I never felt like there was any way I was going to win. Because I usually feel like when I go up, and this is what happened when I did my contest, is, let's say there's 30 people in the room. For 2 or 3 people in the room, I was the absolute best. I was their favorite, and they were losing it the whole time. But for most people, they're just, I don't like this guy.
Yeah. And that's another thing with...
And that's fair. If I'm not destroying for the whole room, I shouldn't win.
Exactly, yeah.
But I love that, because that's my shit. Usually my favorite movies, my favorite music. It's, for some people, the right people, it's the greatest thing on earth. But for most people, they won't understand it or get it.
It's very niche.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to... I guess I'm trying to be a little less niche and a little more open to being an everyman, and every person.
I was just thinking of something. I'll keep going. Maybe I'll remember it.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong with doing that route and seeing if it works, and being a little bit of an everyman and being able to connect with more people.
That's what I was thinking. Chris Williamson, Modern Wisdom Podcast, great podcast, but he was saying it's a good idea to figure out what's the thing that only you can do. Because you never hear people say, man, I love Nick. I love how much he's like everybody else.
That's true.
Anytime someone is like, man, I love this guy, they're talking about really specific things. Like, oh, no one would come up with this. No one else would say that. No one else would think that thing. That's what you love about people. Yeah. No one loves like, wow, this person's so average, or they're just like everyone else. No one, that's not really, what makes you love someone.
And I don't want to be more average. I just want to be able to connect more with everybody versus, I still want to have that same quality and aspects about my jokes and my joke writing. But I want it to be...
I think it will be more original because no one else is you, but there are other deadpan one-liners.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
But if you figure out how to be completely you on stage, no one else can do that.
Exactly. Don't imitate, just be yourself, be me, and see how well that goes and continue to work on it. And part of it's kind of exciting because it's going into it with this mindset. Like, now I don't feel like an 8-year veteran anymore. I kind of feel like I'm almost starting anew in a sense, even though I have material, I have experience, but I'm gonna try to be a little more just open and honest about me and the things that I do, and so maybe like I'll be able to connect easier with a easier route of speaking to people and not being so condescending or abrasive or arrogant or cocky or however people perceive me on stage when I do what I've been doing, because there's always like, no matter what, even when I'm killing, I can look in the crowd and see a handful of people like there's a handful of people in there, but at the same time a lot of my jokes are really, they're not like bad jokes, but they're on a bad topic or something that's not, people don't want to talk about, and a lot of times you get people laughing that don't want to be laughing at this. And I think that's a pretty cool thing that I could do, is like I could say something pretty awful in a funny way that's going to make you laugh at it, even though you don't want to be laughing at it,
That's always been so weird to me that people, I can't understand the mindset of someone who's unhappy that about what the person on stage is saying. Because to me, of course, there's tons of jokes that don't make me laugh, or maybe I think it's in bad taste or whatever, but I just think, hey, the person's on stage and they're saying what they think. They're saying what's on their mind. I feel like you have to be somewhat arrogant to think, man, he shouldn't say that. Why do you have authority to tell someone what they can or cannot talk about,
That's true. We live in a country with free speech, supposedly.
It's free speech on the books, not really in the culture right now.
Yeah, that is true.
But I was thinking, the show is PlayinPussy, so it's all about self-improvement, things we could do better. So I had some questions for you.
Okay.
But this was something I was thinking we could start talking about on the show. What is either one thing or the most important thing that you feel like you learned this week from reading, from experience, podcasts, whatever. But what's something you learned this week?
Something I learned this week.
Or at least since the last show.
Well, I would say that the most important thing in regards to comedy that I learned this week is that I need to pick a lane. I need to either continue doing what I have been doing, the way I've been doing it, and just continue to work on that, or I need to go the other route and start being a little bit more of me on stage. Like, either be the character that you see on stage, like the confident kind of jerkish dark one-liner guy, or be the guy with a dark sense of humor that can connect with you at least, And that's what I kind of learned. And also, don't wear a fucking red beanie on stage. That's
Why? What was it about the red beanie?
I don't know. I guess it was just folded up like this. They said, "Oh, I look like a sailor or a surly sailor," and then I had a couple jokes. I had a couple cat jokes in my set, and they're like, "It just doesn't go well. You look like a surly sailor, and now you're up there telling cat jokes. I don't get it," And that's what the judges said. And it's just like,
I don't understand that.
I don't understand it either, but at the same time, it's like, presentation is nice, and that's another reason why I like to go up. I would always like to go up in long sleeves and either a hat or, depending on the weather, just go up in long sleeves. There's no distractions. I look plain. So I'm basically a blank canvas to anybody who's never seen me, and then they don't know what to expect, and then they see it and it comes out, And I think just taking a little more pride in picking a lane. Like, do I want to be a weirdo, like 100% weirdo, or do I want to just be me? Which, by being me, I am a weirdo. So it's like, it's hard to make that decision on that aspect of it. I think the one thing I learned this week that outside of comedy is, it's not that I learned it, but it was just kind of a little more prevalent, that is like, I have to be grateful and show gratitude to the people, myself, the place, the universe, whatever. Because we're both without vehicles. Mine's in the shop right now. I had to get some work done on it, and I had to spend some money that I really don't have. But at the same time, I'm going to be able to continue to do what I want to do and go where I want to go, and be grateful that I do have a car that works and runs. And so what, I had to pay like $900 I didn't really have. I'm gonna have to put that on my credit card to get that paid for. And it's just be grateful that you do have a vehicle to drive around and be able to go and do things and be around people and have conversations with people that kind of like see you for you, and be extra appreciative towards that. And
yeah, gratitude can fix almost anything.
Yeah,
I think I find that because I deal with a lot of depression and stuff, and that's the number one thing. Thinking about what you're grateful for, that's fantastic. There's also this Stoic meditation. What the Stoics used to do is think about what it would be like to lose the things they have. That's a good way to get you to feel grateful again too. Just think about what you have and what it would be like to lose it. Think about that for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that with like my situation with my truck. The situation with my truck is I have a cracked exhaust manifold, so I got to get that fixed, so that way I can get my car registered and inspected and get back 100% street legal for the laws here in Texas. But I was thinking there, like, when the mechanic was telling me, because at first I thought it was one thing, and then it ends up turning out to be another issue that costs probably that added another $600 onto the bill for the labor working wise, which sucks. But I was also like grateful that I do have like good credit and a credit card that I can just put it on and be able to pay it off later. And I was thinking about like, well, thank God it's just this, and let's say it's like I didn't blow the head gaskets or blow the engine up, because if that happened, then I'd really be fucked, because I don't have the money to go out and buy a car. That would force me to go out and finance a car, which would cause me to have to go out and probably get another job just to be able to pay that bill plus all the insurance. And so I was like thinking of like, just suck it up, do it, pay for it. Don't let the issue keep going, because the exhaust manifold's not going to make my car stop working, but like as of right now. But if I would have just ignored it and let the check engine light stay on and then just drove, and then all of a sudden I'm driving on the freeway somewhere and then the engine starts smoking, and then it's done, and then it would cost more to replace the engine than the car would be worth. And so that helped out a lot. It was just like, just do what you got to do. Same thing when parents want me to come home for Thanksgiving. I really don't have the money to go buy a ticket, especially during the holiday time like right now. But I do have a credit limit to do, and it's just money. Like, and it's like I'm grateful that I'll be able to go home and see all my family, because this Thanksgiving, a lot of the family's coming together to show up at my parents' house. So like everyone will be there. So it will be an experience. It'll be good, and it'll be grateful to see everyone, because I haven't seen them since April, excuse me. So yeah, I'm excited, and that's funny you bring that up, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, well, if I didn't have all this, like I would be stuck here, and then that's no fun, like, because I don't have the big support system I had back home, where it's just like I can hit up Dad and be like, oh, Dad, can you come pick me up, or something like that. It's like I have very few people I can actually reach out to out here that would be like, don't worry, I got you. Same thing with my girlfriend. She's staying the week with us because she's helping me get to work, because I work at a gym that I have to be there at 4:30 in the morning, which, I mean, Uber's always a possibility. I know what you're thinking, but like the difference in price from 4:30 in the morning to 10 o'clock when I get off, it's like an Uber from work when I get off work at 10 o'clock to here is $10-12. An Uber at 4:30 in the morning when no one's out work driving except for maybe like one person, and Ubers might be in high demand, that same Uber ride's $90. So it's like give and take. So I am grateful to have like the people that are in my life here that do support me, that do believe in me, that do. And
Well, it seems like you have a shit ton of friends out here, and you know everyone.
I know everybody, and there's a huge difference between like good close friends that I can open up to and relate to versus people that I get along with when I see them versus just comedy acquaintances. So I mean, it's all in the process of making friends. The more you hang out with them, the more you see them, the closer you get, the better the bonds build with the people that you are being around. And so that definitely does help. But like in real life, like people that I know that I could count on here, like without a doubt, without question, I could count probably those people on my hands.
Well, it's more than a lot of people have.
True, and I'm grateful to have them. And
yeah, it's wild that there's people out there who don't have anyone.
Yeah.
And I've always been lucky. I don't know, it's weird because I like to stay to myself.
Yeah,
I'm not the most talkative person, but I've always had tons of friends.
Yeah.
That's always been so easy for me. So that's really lucky. Yeah,
and I think that's something that maybe you could work on, is just come out and be a little more social with some people. It might benefit you to like come and hang out more and make that time to do it. Like, you talk about you procrastinate a lot with your work and stuff like that, which I get. And then, like there's times where I invite you like, hey, you want to come to the contest? And you're like, I really can't. I got my work to do, which I understand. You got to get your work done. But at the same time, you do need to make time for stuff that's not work as well. Something that's going to benefit you, build some more connections. You don't have to go out and be everyone's friend or try and kiss ass to anybody. But it would be nice to come out and talk to people.
I think a lot of the comics I'm friends with, maybe you don't know, because there's like 6 or 7 people that I'd consider my friends here.
Okay.
That I talk to and see every time I go out there.
Yeah, but I'm saying like come out to like the more established places, or come out and just come to a show and watch and hang out, and with the comics that aren't on the show either. Like 'cause I know there's a few comics out here that ask about you, like, oh, where's Matt? I haven't seen him, or something. Like Jack Timmons asked about you. She's like, I haven't seen Matt, and it's just like, I like Matt. I think he's funny, and it's just like you don't come out as much as like.
I think the main thing that's tough for me is it's tough to go out when I know I'm not in shape, and it's like I can't go to the gym. I can't work. The gym is what I'm open mics.
Yeah.
Because when I see people up there and I don't have really the ability to go and hit the open mics every day, it just pisses me off, basically.
Which is true, but I mean, there's a lot to go into these open mics. Even let's say if you go to an open mic and you don't feel like signing up because you don't have anything new, but you can still take that energy that you would have to like if you had something new and put that into like talking with people or like having a conversation outside of being on the stage and people like being able to see and talk to you or hear what you're saying without you having a microphone in your hand. Because then at that same time, like you have a good conversation, you're bantering with someone, and then boom, there's an idea, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you can run with it.
Yeah, that's good advice. The other thing I was gonna ask is, What is something this week that you wanted to learn, you thought you would learn, or that you planned to make time to learn but you didn't?
Probably just studying for like my certification for personal training. I haven't.
How is that? Is it fun? Do you have an interest in it? Are you actually interested in learning that stuff?
Yeah, I have an interest in it because like what I'm doing is like when I am learning this stuff and I go to the gym every day and then I apply what I'm learning to my actual physical workouts when I'm doing it, and I'm seeing like better results in like my strength or my form and how I'm performing, how some exercises I was struggling at, but I was only struggling because I wasn't doing it correctly, and then now I can do it. So it does help, but this week was bad. Last week was kind of bad too. I think I only studied one day, and ideally I should have been done with this a long time ago. It's basically one of those courses where it's like it only takes as long as it takes you to do it, and I've been.
What's the struggle? What happens when you're thinking, okay, I need to sit down and do this, and then you don't? What's that thought process?
I'll seriously be laying there and thinking like I need to study right now, and then I just don't do it. Then I'm like, no, I'm gonna just lay there, and then I'm like, then I'll do something else. I'll work on content. I'll work on like editing stuff, and I'll do other stuff that's like more important to me, like towards the comedy work of it, and all that stuff goes unpaid. That's just me doing it because I want to, and also because I know it's for comedy. It's in that realm, so I do put a lot of effort into doing it, to putting in work in that aspect of it. I need to also just get better at like putting effort into like making myself a better person outside of comedy, just as a general human being, like learning more, gaining more knowledge. I was talking with Derek yesterday about it, and he mentioned like when he was doing his personal training certificate, like when he originally did it, he was having a lot of self-doubt and imposter syndrome kind of thing, like almost doubting his own intelligence, which sometimes I do that too, because I'm like, I haven't been in school for so long. Do I even remember how to study and like retain anything? And then I think back to like when I was actually in college, I was like, I didn't fucking retain any of that shit now. Like now that I look back at it, people are like, oh, you're a philosophy major? I'm like, yeah. They're like, who's your favorite philosopher? I was like, I don't fucking know.
Like, why do you think you didn't remember any of it?
I don't know, I was just getting through it at a certain point. Like towards the end, like my last year of college, like I wrote a paper on why the educational system was bullshit. And then it was just like, why am I here? And then after that point, it was just like, you've already put this much effort into it, just complete it and get it done. And then I did it, and then I didn't do anything with my degree. I mean, other than comedy, which does help because it just changes the way you think and helps you look at it from different angles and find stuff, which helps with the writing, But also like just writing in general. I don't sit down and write every day like I should. I'm probably writing in my notes a few times a week, if that. But I mean, I'm not. Well, when we first got out here, I was doing a pretty good job of starting to do free writing, and that was helping out with some stuff, but I need to get back into that. And I don't know why I'm so lazy when it comes to doing things that I know I should do, that I don't want to do, instead of forcing myself to do it and just being like, I can do this, or it's like, or I could just be comfortable right now.
Yeah, oh no, I have so many mental gymnastics that I go through to accomplish my procrastination. So I'll have an hour-long conversation in my head to figure out why I don't need to work.
Yeah.
I'll say, one big crutch for me is depression. I'll say, oh, you're depressed, take time for yourself. And but so many crazy mental gymnastics I'll go through, because I'll say, oh, but you didn't drink any alcohol for 8 days, so you should, take it easy. You should be proud of yourself. There's so many insane
justifications.
Yeah. It goes crazy. But the truth is, anytime I just sit down and do what I have to do, it's the greatest feeling ever.
Yeah.
Because there's been points in times, because I get a lot of leeway at work, where I have stuff that's a month late.
Okay.
And the second I sit down and just take a couple days and finish it, I feel so much better than any day I had the last month. Because when you have that, sort of Damocles hanging over your head, it's just, you can't enjoy anything.
Yeah.
Until it's done.
Exactly. I feel that. With that being said, I think we need to wrap this up because I have to get out of here. And
all right, one last thing. What are you going to learn next week? What are you going to learn before the next show?
For the next show, I think I'm going to learn what it feels like to be authentic on stage. That's what I'm going to go for. I got 2 shows coming up that'll happen before we record the next one, and I'm going to go out there and do my best and put myself out there more, maybe talk about some more stuff and see if I can find the funny and maybe improv a little of it and try and just see what happens, and then learn from that experience, and then continue. I'm going to try and force myself to do some more writing, like sit down and do some actual just free writing, write some more jokes, write some more things I'm thinking about, write down things that I would like to talk about on stage, regardless of if I talk about them or not. I still need to put them out on paper, and because even if they're on paper and there's no jokes or punchlines in there, at least they're out there and I can look at it.
So what's the schedule you're thinking? 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day?
I think 10 minutes a day would be good to start off with. I'm also in the process of
you can even do it while you're at work, right? Isn't most of the time there's not like a ton going on?
I mean, yes and no. I can't do it uninterrupted, and that's a big, that's a hard thing to do.
Maybe right once you get off work be a good time.
Yeah, but when I get off work, I go right into working out, because it's like I'm in that mode. My buddy comes in, and who I'm training on weightlifting, teaching him how to lift properly and teaching him all the stuff I'm doing, which is cool because that's helping me realize we've been doing it for the past 2-3 months now, and he's starting to see results and he's happy, and I'm seeing the results on him.
The one piece of advice I'd give is you have to pick a time.
Absolutely.
When it's just I'll do it sometime during the day.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. That definitely has
to happen. So whether it's before bed, as soon as you wake up, have to.
Same thing with the podcast. We missed last week.
Yeah.
And, we said Wednesdays are going to be our days that we shoot. We release on Mondays, and
well, let's do it Wednesdays.
Yeah, we'll do it Wednesdays.
Now, so I'm held accountable. Before the end of this podcast, I want to say I am going to make a YouTube video where I review my favorite movie, Buffalo 66. So that review will be on YouTube before the next episode.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Playin Pussy.
This has been Playin Pussy. You know what we say. If you play pussy,
you're going to get fudged.
Playin Pussy.